A tweet from the PlayStation has more views right now than the actual GTA 6 trailer. Not a leak, not a gameplay, not a trailer. A corporate announcement. It has 155 million views. Now, just for reference, the GTA 6 trailer, the most anticipated game of the decade, has 126 million views. People are watching Sony's bad news and bad decisions more than they're watching the biggest game reveal in years, if not even a decade. That should tell you everything about how big this actually is. So here's the timeline. GTA 6 pre-orders went live. People noticed the physical edition, the one you pay extra for, doesn't have a disc. It's a box with a code inside. That's it, like a, a little receipt. 3 days later, in the same week, Sony dropped two more pieces of news. First, physical disc production for PlayStation games ends completely in January 2028. After that, every single thing is digital only. Forever. Second, and this is the one that actually broke people, starting September 1st, Sony is deleting over 550 movies and shows that people already bought, paid for, from Studio Canal, gone from your library, no refund. And Sony's response, all this backlash, all these comments, all the people's, well, sayings, nothing. Silence, no statement, no damage control, just quiet. While Domino's Pizza, yes, you're right, Domino's Pizza is out here mocking them on social media, and a petition to say physical disc is past 100,000 signatures. Now, before I go any further, I want to actually explain what's underneath all of this, because the word that matters here is DRM, and I want everyone watching to actually understand it, not just hear it. Now, if you don't know, DRM stands for Digital Rights Management. So here's the simplest way I can put it. Imagine you buy a house, normal house. You pay for it, you get the keys, it's yours. Except this house comes with a weird rule. Every single time you want to walk through the front door, the house has to call the company that built it and ask permission. If the company says yes, you get in. If the company doesn't answer or decides not to say yes anymore, you're standing outside your own house and there's nothing you can do about it. That's DRM. It's not about whether you paid, it's about whether the company still says yes today. You don't own the game or the movie, you own permissions to use it. Permissions that can be taken back whenever the company decides to. That's why Sony could delete 500 movies people already paid for legally. According to the terms of service, purchase never meant what you thought it meant. And I need to say this clearly. Companies are not your friend. Not Sony, not Rockstar, not Xbox, not Nintendo, none of them. They will happily take your loyalty, your defense of them in the comment sections and your day one pre-orders. And the second it's more profitable to screw you over, they will every time. It's not personal and it will never be personal. It's just whatever the quarterly numbers say. And this isn't a one time thing. Let's look at the actual patterns here, man. Sony made an entire ad mocking Xbox for making it hard to share physical games with friends. That ad has 20 million views. Now, Sony is the company deleting content people already paid for. Nobody at Sony feels bad about that ad still being up. The second Sony announced this, Xbox started advertising physical discs for their own games. GitHub jokingly offering to burn code onto a CD-ROM. Everyone piling onto Sony this week, none of them are actually different. They're just enjoying not being the one in the headlines right now. Another one is Samsung and the headphone jack. Samsung mocked a competitor for removing the headphone jack. A couple of years later, Samsung moved the headphone jack themselves. Same company, different year. Whatever was profitable at the time, they did it. Listen, I'm not telling you to hate Sony specifically. I'm telling you to stop being loyal to any of the companies. They were never loyal to you. It's not that kind of relationship, and it never was. They will screw you over for even a single dollar. There's a real solution to all of this, and it already exists. GOG. Good old games. Good old games sells games with the zero DRM. You buy it, you own the actual installer file. No online check-ins required ever. You could put it on 10 hard drives if you wanted to. And GOG isn't just talk. They've actually preserved 300 classic games so far. The Witcher, Diablo, Crysis, Resident Evil, games that would otherwise stop work on modern systems. They rebuilt them so they run today with zero help needed from the original publishers. That's what actual ownership looks like. Not the shape of the box, not whether there's a disc inside it. The simple fact that nobody can take it away from you after you have paid. If GTA 6 shipped without DRM, nobody would care that the box has a code instead of a disc. The disc was actually never the actual issue. Now, here's what I just want to be careful because this next part is a real serious argument, not something to just shout about. There's a growing argument made seriously by people who are working on consumer rights reform. It goes like this. If a company sells you something using the word purchase, takes your money, and then years later takes the product back without a refund because they never actually had the right to sell it to you long term, that's arguably worse than someone downloading an unauthorized copy, basically pirating. Now, why worse, you might say? Because the pirate didn't take your money under a false promise. Sony did. They sold something they didn't fully own the rights to, kept your money, and took it back anyway. And there's a real legal irony in the middle of all of this. In the US, breaking encryption on something you legally bought, even just to make a personal backup for yourself, can technically violate copyright law. Meanwhile, a company selling you something it doesn't have long-term rights to, then quietly taking it back later, that's just called a licensing update. So basically, you can get in legal trouble for backing up a movie you paid for. Nobody gets in trouble for taking that movie back after you already paid for it. Sit with that. Now, to be fair, there's a real counter argument too. Companies say they need DRM, which is digital rights management, which I just explained in the video, because an authorized copying costs us real revenue. And without any protection, the people who actually made the thing lose money that funds whatever comes next. That's a legitimate concern. Piracy isn't consequence-free for creators, but that argument gets a lot weaker the moment the same company turns around or revokes access to things people legitimately paid for. You can't say, we need strict control to protect our revenue, and also, we're allowed to take back what you already paid for us. Like, pick one, you can't do both. I'm telling you, the argument exists, and it's being made seriously by people trying to actually reform the law, not randomly on Twitter. So here's where all of this actually lands. GTA 6 shipping without a disc was annoying, fine, whatever. But it was never really about the disc. It was the spark that made everyone finally look at what's underneath a system where you spend money and get permission instead of ownership. Sony's disc announcement getting more views than GTA 6's own trailer isn't a coincidence. It means people are finally paying attention to something they should have been paying attention in the first place for years. Ask for games without DRM, support the platforms that actually sell them that way, and stop getting distracted by whether there's a disc in the box. I mean, of course, I love the disc. GTA 5 had the map in it, had some bonuses in it, GTA 4 same, but I love that. But the box was never the part that mattered.